welcome to Vlogmas and back to my channel. So we are kicking off a month full, or as close to a month full of vlogs as possible. So I'm going to be doing some day in the life vlogs, sharing some of my holiday decor, sharing any tips, tricks, and holiday ideas and gift ideas that I have throughout the season, and just kind of hopping into it. So welcome to Vlogmas. It'll be almost every day. I'm going to say almost every day because I'll try to do as many videos as possible, but you know that there's always going to be that here and there day that it just is not going to happen. So that's what I'm going to call it, is almost everyday vlogging in Vlogmas, and my first vlog month in quite a while. But today we are going to be talking about Chicago and our recent trip to Chicago. I'm going to be sharing some of the highlights. I'm going to share some of my best tips to go tour Chicago, how we got so much done, tell you about everything that we saw. And if you have questions about visiting Chicago and during the holiday season, let me know down below, and I'm going to try to answer a lot of those that may be common during this video. But first of all, I did little mini vlogs. They're mostly in vertical while we were in Chicago, and I did have my vlogging camera with me, but it's a little bit different vlogging out in a city, especially when you have kids with you, just as far as safety concerns and just trying to be aware of what's going on around you. Even something as simple as this watching for traffic, it makes vlogging in that scenario a lot harder than doing it somewhere like if you're at Walt Disney World and when you're kind of in a bubble, or if you are traveling on your own. It just makes it a little bit harder when you're trying to keep track of other people and make sure that they're crossing the road at the right time and all of those things. So pretty early on in the trip, I decided I wasn't going to do full vlogs, travel vlogs. So this is the vlog that you're getting for Chicago. But I'm going to share some of my favorite highlights of the trip and let you know how we got so much done there in a long weekend over Thanksgiving. So visiting Chicago during the holiday season is one of my favorite times to visit. I went last year and met some girlfriends, and we did the Kris Kindle Christmas market. We did a number of things downtown, shopping, eating, just really enjoying the city. So I was really excited when we decided to go back with the kids and my husband and take on Chicago from the museum side this year. And I do plan on going back and doing that girls trip again in the future. I unfortunately didn't get the timing right to be able to do both this year, but that is always a really, really good time. But we got to see the museums this time. The kids have been to Chicago a number of times. They've gone downtown a number of times. I have tons of Chicago vlogs actually on this channel. But they were really little when we lived in Illinois, and so they don't remember going into the city and going to American Girl. So this is really like the first time where they got to experience American Girl, and they're going to remember it now. So it was a really fun trip, and this was one of Natalie's requests for her birthday, which was in November. And so we kind of just rolled it in for a sightseeing trip in Chicago, and then her getting to visit the American Girl store and do some shopping. We had a personal shopper. I'll tell you a little bit about that, and get her birthday items. So first things first, I highly recommend for Chicago and a number of other cities that they have this for. We got this city pass, and we absolutely loved the city pass. It was amazing. You got a great deal where you could go to a number of different places. Some of the places were set and some of them we got to pick, and we used that city pass to the fullest. So we actually ended up going to the Museum of Science and Industry, Shed Aquarium. We went to the Chicago SkyDeck, which is the 360 ledge where you overlook the city. We went to the Field Museum, and then we also went to the Art Institute. So we got to see a number of major Chicago attractions, all because of that city pass. And the cool thing was, not only was our admission included, but we also got some like bonus extras where we got like the movies that were add-ons for regular tickets. We got those included with our city pass. And we even got like priority like elevator access at the Chicago SkyDeck. So it was really, really cool. It was a savings of money, and we actually got extra experiences than we would have gotten if we would have bought a regular ticket. So I highly recommend, first of all, if you are starting to plan a Chicago trip, get the city pass. It was amazing. I absolutely will do that now if we're planning on going to see kind of some of those attractions while we're in Chicago, because it was such a great deal. So on the first day, we went to the Museum of Science and Industry. That is right on the lake. It was so beautiful. It had been a really long time since I had been there, so it was a great refresher of seeing the interior. But they actually had holidays around the world exhibit all throughout the museum, which if you know me, you know my channel, I love the holidays. I love decorating for the holidays. I love Christmas trees. So this was right up my alley. And also, if you love holiday decorations, Chicago during the holiday season is for you, because they do such beautiful decorations all throughout the city. It's amazing. That's why I just love being there. There's so many lights and decorations, daytime, nighttime. The whole city and a lot of the suburbs are done up so beautifully. It's awesome. But we went to the Museum of Science and Industry. We got to see as much as we possibly could. Definitely could go back and see a whole nother set of items. But the kids really enjoyed that because there's a lot of hands-on items there. Isabella really loves reading things in museums, so that was perfect for her. And we had a lot of fun there. So then after we left the Museum of Science and Industry, we went to Shed Aquarium. They've been to Shed Aquarium a number of times, but again, they were preschoolers, so they don't exactly remember it. So we took in all of Shed Aquarium that day, and it's also right on the lake. Really, really beautiful view. So we had wonderful views, got to enjoy Shed Aquarium. They have lots of different animal species there. So just a really great learning experience, and we like going to aquariums for some reason. So that was just a really fun experience. And then we were able to eat dinner that evening with family that lives in the area, so that was a really fun kind of additional part of the trip as well, because we're from Illinois, so we have a lot of friends and family there too, so that was a lot of fun. And then on Saturday we got up and we went into the city, and I had a personal shopper plan for Natalie at American Girl. So what the personal shopper is it's completely free to use. You call and you book it before you go. And they help you get around the store, so if a child's really interested in specific things, they can guide them around the store and kind of lightly help them make decisions. So she was wonderful. She like held the dolls that Natalie was like looking at, and like she carried them with us, and then she said, well, if you had to pick between this one and this one, and really helped Natalie narrow down her decisions. I got the personal shopper even though we have been there a number of times. This is the first time where she was going to go into this really big store with so many decisions and have to make that decision. I really felt like the personal shopper would help guide her, and it absolutely was worth it. Also, as a bonus, they have a personal shopping room where after you're done, you know, picking out your items, you're going to go check out, you get to go in this room, which is beautifully decorated with American Girl doll items. And you get to check out in there. So it's just a really calm experience, a really nice end to the experience. And so that was really, really great. So if you have a child that has a hard time making decisions, or if you just think going into one of these mega stores like Chicago or New York, it might be overwhelming for them, I think a personal shopper really, really helps. But it was a fun experience, and Natalie really enjoyed that for her birthday. So after we were done in American Girl, we went over to the Art Institute, which was a little bit of a distance. And we didn't do a lot of walking on this trip, although it was, I mean, we did plenty of walking, but we didn't walk from Water Tower to the Art Institute, which would have been about a 25-minute walk, probably longer with kids. But we actually ended up riding the subway, which Isabella loves riding subways. She loves trains. She loves like doing all those things. We rode the subway when we were in Washington, D.C., so she was super excited that we rode the subway to get down into the area where the Art Institute is. We got to see State Street, which if you are familiar with Chicago, we got to see the windows at Macy's, which used to be Marshall Fields, and see that whole area. So that was really exciting, and that worked out great to kind of sightsee the area of Chicago where the Chicago sign is, and State Street, which is another street that's known other than Michigan Avenue in Chicago. So I highly recommend seeing those two areas if you're going to go visit Chicago. But from State Street, where we got off the subway, it's just a short couple block walk to get down to the Art Institute. Really beautifully decorated again for the holidays. They had these huge wreaths around the lines that are outside. And so we had a fun time there. We didn't spend a ton of time there, but we spent probably like a couple hours there and got to take in the sights. My favorite part of the Art Institute, or favorite area, is the Impressionist area there. I just really love that style of painting. I love the colors that are used. And so even though I had Natalie with me, and we split up, and so Isabella likes to read signs, Natalie likes to take it all in quickly. So even though we were kind of like speeding through there, I got to see some of my favorite paintings, and just, it's really kind of interesting being around that much art in one place. And so that was a fun time. After that, we went over to the Bean, which is in Millennium Park, and we got to take some pictures there. That's a really fun touristy spot. It was very, very busy when we were there, so we didn't really go up close or anything, but the kids got to see it. And then we kept on moving to go back to the car to get the car to go to the Chicago SkyDeck. So the Chicago SkyDeck is in the Willis Tower, which used to be known as the Sears Tower. So if I say the Sears Tower, I mean the Willis Tower, and that's where the Chicago SkyDeck 360 experience is. And so this is the tallest building in Chicago. There is another ledge where you can overlook, and that's the one that I typically had always brought the kids to when they were little. So this was really neat because I can't even tell you, I was probably a child the last time I went up in the Willis Tower. So formerly known as the Sears Tower. So that was really, really fun. We went, you know, and saw the lookout, and then they have these ledges that overlook the city with glass bottoms. So my husband is fearless, and he was fine. He just walked right out there. I put one toe over, and I really just at that point kind of locked up, and I didn't want to go out there, but my husband finally convinced me to walk out there and take a photo with him, and I just didn't look down the whole time, and that was okay. But for whatever reason, like, I can be up in the building and look down, but being like on glass looking down, just not my favorite thing to do. But it's completely worth the experience. We had a really, really fun time. It's of course beautiful views. We actually timed that to where it was right at dusk and getting dark. So we got to see the city at night with lights. There was lots of buildings lit up with red and green for the holidays. And so it was just a really fun experience. So that was our second day there. Then on the third day, we actually had time to do some more things. So we went to Woodfield Mall. Natalie got to see Santa there, which that was kind of like a tradition thing for me because we always used to go to see Santa at Woodfield Mall when we lived in Illinois in that area. And so that was just kind of like, it brought back a lot of great memories for me, and so we spent some time at Woodfield Mall. I got my Frangos at Macy's to give her gifts. So it was just kind of a good like trip down memory lane to spend some time there. We also had breakfast at Wildberry Cafe in Schaumburg. They have Wildberry downtown as well, but they have amazing French toast, pancakes, all kinds of breakfast items. Definitely recommend to try Wildberry Cafe if you're in Chicago, either downtown or they have two suburban locations. There's one in Schaumburg and there's one in Libertyville, I believe. So I'll try to link them down below, but just really, really good breakfast. So we started out the day with a really great breakfast, went to Woodfield Mall, Natalie got to see Santa. We had an appointment there for that. And then we went back into the city one more time. We went to Field Museum, which this one we weren't sure if we were going to have time to do, but I'm so, so glad that we did. We kind of just decided on a whim on our last day to go there before we needed to catch our flight. We had a couple hours to spend. It was less than 3, but I think over 2. And so we just tried to see as much as possible. They had a special exhibit on death, and it just, not necessarily the process of death, but just how different cultures approach it. It was really, really interesting, and we enjoyed that. Natalie and I went back to see Sue, the T-Rex, and went through that whole exhibit and learned about all of the planet's mass extinctions, including mass extinction number 6, which is our own, which is great. Not really, that was sarcasm. So then we also got to see the gym room. I love gyms, like it's this beautiful to look at, so that was a lot of fun. We got a movie there that was included with City Pass, and just so many great exhibits. We just tried to see the highlights while we were there. But they have really large-scale dinosaur bones there, which are very, very neat if you have a child that's into dinosaurs. So anyhow, a really great time. We saw as much as possible. We fit all of that into 3 days and really maximized our time. I did end up opting to stay in the suburbs just because it was an area that I was very familiar with. If you're familiar with Illinois, like we stayed in the Gulf Road area at Schaumburg. So the first night we ate at Maggiano's, and just like we instantly kind of knew our way around, which was nice because we used to live there. A lot of times when I'm going into the city to meet friends, I will definitely stay downtown, because especially if you don't have a rental car, it's very, very easy to get around Chicago using public transportation, Ubers, taxis. I used a car service from the airport to get from O'Hare to downtown when I was going on my own to meet friends. So there's a lot of transportation options. There's the CTA train that goes from O'Hare to downtown. So there's a lot of transportation options in Chicago, which makes it a really, I feel, easy trip to book, even if you have kids with you. So let me know if you have any questions, because I know when I posted our little mini vlogs on Instagram, a number of people have said, oh, like we're planning a trip for Chicago, like this is perfect. So if you have any questions that I didn't answer in this video, feel free to let me know. But I feel like Chicago, I'm familiar with it, so I'm biased, of course. But I feel like Chicago is a very easy trip to plan because there's so much to do there. It's very easy to kind of figure out what your family is going to like to do. When I go on my own, I like staying in one of the hotels that's right around the river because it's really easy access to either go north on Michigan Avenue, go south on Michigan Avenue, or easily get transportation to anywhere you need to go, like the airport or to one of the museums that's further south. Or to go to a game. I mean, we're not huge sports fans, but there's obviously a lot of sports teams in Chicago as well. I would love to go to a Cubs game with the kids. I think that would be fun. But there's so much to do. I think you can probably tell that I love the city. I've lived in Illinois growing up. I didn't live in Chicago. I lived in a completely different area of Illinois. And Chicago was always like this magical place that we go visit. And I thought it was so cool. And like I see people that I figured lived there. And I just thought it was such a neat life that they had. And so when my husband and I got married, we lived in the suburbs of Chicago. And I've always really enjoyed like going into the city. I enjoyed our time when we lived in the suburbs and just out of the city a few different times because we've moved so much, if you know us. But yeah, it was a really good trip. I enjoyed being able to bring the kids back there because they don't have that same connection that I do from, you know, just the different experiences of living around Chicago. Like they don't remember when we lived in Illinois really necessarily. So it was really neat to be able to have them experience that, and now they'll have those memories from Chicago as well. So let me know if you have any questions. I will try to link everything down below. I highly recommend the City Pass. We got so much done during a holiday weekend, during a weekend when it was like Black Friday and shopping craziness, although we were able to miss a lot of that. And then also we fit tons of things into 3 days, and I think a lot of that was due to the City Pass and just being able to plan out our days ahead of time. Oh, quick tip with the City Pass. Definitely get it before you go because a number of the museums have to do a timed reservation still. I believe we had to do a timed reservation at Museum of Science and Industry and Shed, and you cannot enter until you have your timed entry. So if your timed entry is at 2 p.m., you need to be there at 2 p.m. because that's the time that they're going to let you in. You can't get it in there really a lot earlier, and you can't get in there like if you miss your time by like 30-45 minutes, you may or may not get in. So get your timed entry. Some of the museums do not require it. So Art Institute, we did not have to have timed entry. We just show our City Pass. And Field Museum. So that was nice because those two we could use a little bit more flexible. And so like I didn't know how long we were going to be at American Girl. So that's why I planned to go to the Art Institute after American Girl, because we could just show up whatever time we needed to be there. So build that flexibility into your plan. Time the ones that you need to get ahead of time. It's all on the City Pass website. It'll show you which ones you need to get advanced reservations, and you can make them all from the website right after you buy your ticket, which is really nice. So my tip would be, you know, if you have an activity where you don't really know how long you're going to be there, like say the Christkindl Christmas market. Sometimes there's a really long line to get in. You have to wait for 30 minutes to get in. Other times you can just walk right in. You may not know how long you're going to be there. So if you're going to the Art Institute afterward, that would be more flexible because that has no timed entry. You can just go into the Art Institute with your City Pass at whatever time you show up. So those would be my quick tips for Chicago. Hopefully this has been helpful for your planning a trip. We had a wonderful time, and I'm looking forward to bringing you more holiday vlogs from around the house. So welcome to Vlogmas, and thanks for watching. Have a great day.